Are the devs in MSF up to their old tricks again with more misleading comments? I've done some research. I got the evidence. I'm going to talk about it in this video. Plus, Heroes for Hire. They look like they're getting more use, not just going to be a War D team, but also for the Gamma Raids. So which Heroes for Hire member is the best? And the Warriors 3 and MSF, could it be a possibility? Well, what would this mean for the game? We're going to talk about that and who would be best in each role. We're going to talk about that as well, along with the rest of your questions from the mailbag. And if you're ready to get to all of that, guys, find that like button and let's go smash it.
ValleyFlyin.
Well, hello, Valley Maniacs. What is up? Welcome back to the channel. I am ValleyFlyin. I hope you're having a great week. I hope you had a great weekend, and I hope you're ready to get into all of the questions from the mailbag about Marvel Strike Force or whatever questions you guys put in that mailbag channel. And if this is your first time here, guys, hit that subscribe button. We do this every week. Usually it's on a Monday. Sometimes it's on a Sunday, but every time we're answering your questions in the Discord. If you want to get your question potentially featured in one of these Monday mailbags, well, make sure you join the Discord. Leave your question in the mailbag section there. But without further ado, let's get to the questions of the week. First question of the week. Could you ask the devs if they have considered releasing tunes for two different teams at the same time and making it a choice for the community to only be able to unlock one or the other until the second round for each team? One could be a raid, arena type team. The other would be war focused. This would be a mix up for the boring new team meta taking over all aspects of the game and leaving players much further behind. I like some of the things in this suggestion. I like that players have the option to do two teams at a time. I do like that. Because yes, having a boring raid team for a raid team like the Secret Avengers that I personally don't need, but I know a lot of players it would help sincerely. I think that's a decent thing, but having options to go with either team which would make the most sense. I do like that. I do see some problems with this, especially with all the people that have that fear of missing out. They would go hard on both. They would go hard on offers for both. It might actually be beneficial for Scopely, making them different money from different sources, or doubling up the money that they could have for the people that just want to collect everything. But this wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. Maybe not releasing the two tunes at the same time, but maybe making them farmable at the same time for different blitzes. I would like this for blitzes, so you could choose either one blitz or the other blitz, and once you enter one, you can't go into the other, so you're forced to choose. That would be kind of an interesting way for the Scopely to mix things up. But yeah, if they're capable of doing things to mix it up and not just be the status quo, I don't know if they're capable of this to the point. But there's a few good things that I like about this suggestion. Mainly, they would work on a different team than everyone else's. Work on the team that you want, that would benefit you the most, and not just having to work on these cookie cutter teams. I like that portion of this, but I think it needs a little more refining. But I do like the framework of this idea. All right, Valley. Long-time subscriber, first time writing in. My question is, Cerebro stated in his most recent interview you could obtain a Sharon Carter from the ongoing event for 6 or 7 stars for free. Can you explain how to do this, or if this is even possible, or does this make Cerebro lie? Well, first off, I've looked at the videos. I couldn't find it, so this is what I looked up. So we looked up a few different videos. So first I looked at this strike time video. And guys, if you guys are here and not ever already left that like button, you should leave that like button just for going back and watching this video, because frankly, this is a pretty boring video. At the time, there was some good information, but now that we know the kits for Sharon Carter, we know the kits for Captain America, we have some data about their usage, there's not really a lot of novelty with this video. So yeah, leave a subscribe just for going back and watching this. But I couldn't find anything of him talking about release method, especially about a 7 or 6 star unlock for free. I know Cerebro watches his words very carefully, and things do slip through the cracks because he's human, but I don't recall him saying that at all. So I don't know how you would get that from this event. Normally with events that are in a game this type, you're normally, as a free-to-play player, going to be maybe a 4-star unlock, possibly a 5 if you're going really hard with your cores and get lucky with the orb openings, but usually these aren't a 6 or 7-star events. I also went back and looked at this video where he's talking about Sharon Carter, talked about his kit, talked about his use, talked about some of the history of the character. I didn't see it And looking back on all these videos, the only two that I could think it was possible for him to talk about Sharon Carter is this one, the Strike Time, where they talked about the kits, and this one, Sharon Carter. So if it was in another video or another source, maybe not on YouTube that he described it, let me know. But I couldn't find a place that he actually said this or wrote it down. But yeah, so my answer, I don't think it's possible unless you're going crazy with your cores, doing a lot of refreshes. I don't recall him saying this, but yeah, Sharon Carter looks like a fun character. I don't know if she's necessary, especially if you're doing well in the Doom skill raise right now, but she's a good character. I don't know. Let me know if you guys, let me know exactly where he said this, though. I definitely will let him know how inaccurate he was if he did say this, but I don't recall him saying this, guys. So yeah, let me know in the comments or reach out to me on Discord or whatever. A lot of talk has been about quality of life changes. I got one that hasn't been talked about, wondering what your thoughts would be on it. Without even reading this, if it's a quality of life change that benefits the players, I love it. I love it. But let's see what this idea is. I would love a feature that we could select places cores could not be used. My 5-year-old, oh my goodness, I think I know what happened here already because it happens to so many people that have kids. My 5-year-old was playing on my phone and wasted 1,500 cores in Blitz one day. Yeah, that sucks. I'd love to check a box that says I don't want to use cores in Blitz as long as the box is checked. Similarly, a box that says never buy anything in the supply section. I simply bought one of those garbage offers a couple years ago. So yes, this would benefit the players. I would love this. And it's possible other companies would implement something like this, but you got to ask yourself, how likely is it with that Scopely, knowing the history of Scopely, knowing the history how they've handled a lot of things in game? Do you think they would ever implement something like this that would be so player friendly that might actually take money out of their pockets? Yes, I would love it. Yes, it would be awesome for the players. I don't see Scopely ever doing this though, so yeah, it would be cool. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they do this because I think not only it maybe in the short term it would prevent them from getting some of these accidental purchases, but I think there's a lot of players that have stopped playing with these accidental purchases. Like, oh man, this was bad. Give me back my stuff. Take your cores back. I think there's a lot of players that stop playing just because that happened. That this might actually benefit them, and maybe it would cost them in the short term, but maybe it would actually make them money in the long term by keeping around players. Making players happy, making the players in their favor. Like, oh, Scopely's on our side. They refunded me these cores that I didn't want to use. So yes, I'm going to stick around this game a little longer. If they start to view the game in that sense, I could see them doing it, but so far they've seemed to be very short-sighted. Like I've said many times in the past, I don't think they've had a plan for anything, any long-term or medium-term plan for anything that they've done in 2021. So yeah, them doing something like this that focuses more on player happiness and long-term profits. I don't know, but I would love it. I would love it if it came to the game. Hey, Valley, love the content. Hope you're doing well in light. I'm a light spender, about to get to level 70 in DD2. What 5 characters are the best for that? I don't think this is gonna be a cookie cutter answer for everybody. I think everybody's in a different place as they're entering DD2. So I'm gonna give you some characters that I think are good that you could also use in DD3, also potentially in DD4. And hopefully there's some characters that you could work on that are close for you in this list. But as far as DD3 and DD4, some of the best characters there, as far as the global section, I know you don't have restrictions in DD2, but I think you should start planning for 3 and 4 right now. And some of the best global characters there, Emma, Sinister, and Ghost, you maybe, if you have them built up enough, you may be able to auto, or maybe not auto, but you may be able to get through all of Dark Dimension 2 with just those 3 characters. So, and I haven't been in there recently, so maybe not. But I was able to auto the global of DD4. So if I'm able to do that nowadays, I'm thinking maybe with those 3 characters. So, and they'll benefit you in the global section of DD3 and DD4. So concentrate on those 3 characters. Also, I want to point out some characters that may be good in Cosmic. So Minerva, one of the best characters for DD2. I still think she's very valuable in DD3 and DD4. I know some people, she's fallen off for a little bit, but I'm still using her in the Doom raids every single day. So Minerva should still be a possibility for you. I don't know how close you are to getting Ma, but Ma is very good in Cosmic and is going to be good in those legendary sections once you get to DD4. So Ma is another character that does percent base damage. Also Kestrel and Silver Surfer, 2 of the best, most versatile characters in the game. You should not forget them if you're close to getting those characters. If you have the gold stars stars on them. And then, of course, the symbiotes. I know it's a little harder to get symbiote Spider-Man now. I know he got recently moved to the Milestone 2 orb, but it's still maybe hard to get. And Anti-Venom being a premium orb exclusive. But if you have those symbiotes, they're going to be invaluable for you in DD3 in the city section and DD4 in the city section as well. So those are some characters I think will be valuable for DD2. There's a few questions, on DD2. So I hope it helps everybody that was wondering about DD2. Not necessarily cookie cutter teams, but more focus on characters that are going to benefit you later in DD3 and DD4. And it's kind of roster specific. So not really 5 tunes, but I gave you a bunch of tunes there. Hopefully you have some of those. And I think they'll all be beneficial in Dark Dimension 2, 3, and 4. Next question, Del Valley. I see a lot of 600k black orders in my arena shard. I only have a 400k black order. I'm wondering if a hybrid team of Kestrel, Black Bolt, Emma, who's the next one? Zemo and Red Guardian will beat them, or should I keep investing in Black Order? So I wouldn't keep investing in Black Order. Are they a team that you should build after a few other teams, namely Infinity Watch and whatever teams you're using in the raids? I would say, yeah, they're probably a pretty important team after you have some more daily teams like your arena and raid teams. I think Black Order is the next team that you should build. So don't not build them, but I don't think you should work on them for Arena. If you have some of the options for Infinity Watch, Gamora and Nebula are very, very farmable. But if you have Phyla-Vell to a decent level, Moondragon, I think you should just start shifting your focus till then. As far as if this team can beat them, I think it's a no-brainer. If you take out maybe either Red Guardian or Zemo and put in Silver Surfer, you can beat that team. But let me try to play out the turn. So with this team, Zemo, either Zemo or Thanos is going to go first. I don't know if Zemo is going to have the focus at a low level to clear off all the buffs off the enemy team. But the good thing, if Thanos goes first, he's probably going to use that special on the AI first, which means he's going to flip whatever needs to be flipped, and probably not going to get a lot of use there, so probably wasting that. Zemo, I don't know if he's going to be able to ability block anyone. I don't know if Cull's taunt is going to be off early enough, but ability blocking, probably the one you want to do early on is going to be Cull to avoid that taunt if you can, if he has that focus to do that. And then between Emma removing the buffs from the entire team, Kestrel being on there, Black Bolt with his passive, I think you can beat the Black Order if you're not punching up enough. But again, I'm trying to theory craft off the top of my head. But to answer your more important question, not just about the win, but about if you should build Black Order or not yet. And focus on a different arena team, maybe on these characters. Maybe they will be able to beat them. I would test them out in an arena battle. Maybe take them into real-time arena battle against and maybe with a friend and test out, see if they could beat Black Order. I'm trying to picture the turn order in my head, and I'm thinking Zemo and Thanos are going to be the first 2 moves. So yeah, invest in them. Not super hard though. They're gonna be one of your top ward offense teams nowadays, and maybe still a little bit for your arena shard if you're seeing a lot of Black Orders in there. So start to shift a little bit. The arena's meta has shifted from Black Order to Infinity Watch. So hopefully that helps, but yeah, don't invest too hard in them. I know you still have a lot of Black Order in arena start, but start to work on the future and not so much on what is currently going on or the past in a lot of other arena shards. Oh, there's a long question. All right, I've seen a lot of complaining about gold milestone reward structure. I want to get something off my chest. All right, the reward tiers up to 4 million are and above. The old highest tier, 2.7 million, have pretty menial rewards. I agree with that. People seem to be pretty upset about this, but I'm not. I don't think I was very upset when I saw this as well. I think they've shifted of backloading a lot of the high-end rewards, and I think they've started to front-load a lot of the high-end rewards. They started doing that about a year, maybe a year and a half ago, and I think that it just continued with these gold milestones. A lot of the valuable rewards are in the front end, the early part of the gold, and then the not as valuable rewards are more in the back end. This is a good thing. I think I agree with you. Let's see how this goes. The higher rewards tiers aren't meant to incentivize you to spend. They're meant to give you permission if you have some other reason to spend. Yeah, I think the higher tier rewards, kind of like I said, they are meant for not the people that want to spend all the time. They're not meant to cause you to spend your gold and to waste your gold. If you look, a lot of, actually, this is the classic looks. This is not the high roller. This is the high roller right here. And if you look, a lot of them stop. A lot of the big rewards stop right around here, the 2.3. I don't think we're meant to spend too much more than 2.3. But if we go over that, Or at least that is how I'm interpreting. Everybody seems like they're interpreting this differently. But if you go over the 2.3, well, then you're still getting some things. They're not great rewards. They're not awesome rewards. You're not just meant to spend over 2.3 every day. In fact, I think you should limit it to the like around 1 to 1.3. And actually, both times that I showed this, I went over that. But I don't think you're meant to go over this. I think you're meant to go right about less than this, actually. But if you go here, you're still getting some rewards. After this point, on those days where you're building up characters, spending about 4 million gold just to take a character from 0 to 65 or even 70, you're not screwed out of getting nothing. That's how I interpreted this. But like I said, a lot of people are interpreting this a little differently. I think this is how you're interpreting this as well, brother. If the high tiers had better rewards, people would feel pressure to spend to get them, and people who could not will feel left out and bitter. Yeah, this is exactly how I'm interpreting this. Remember when the new raid season ad Milestone came out, you could not get Silver Surfer Stars from only the high, or you could only get it from the highest tiers. Maybe people can get them all, and the entire community was super upset. So in fact, Scopely changed the reward structure, gave better rewards to the lower ends, only small rewards at the higher ends. Now they show they learned some of their past mistakes, and people are complaining. Yeah, I think this is a good thing as well. Obviously, people are interpreting this. A lot of the people that are fear of missing out are saying, "Oh, you got to spend all 4 million to get all the gold or to get all the milestones." But the milestones are pretty crappy after you get to that 2.3. So I 100% agree with you on this one, brother. I think that Scopely was trying to do something good to the community interpreted him as trying to get the gold out of the players. But if you just go status quo, I think the reward's a little better. If you have to go over some days, the reward's a little better. But yeah, it's going to be very, very bad if you're spending 4 million a day. But I don't think that was the intent. They started this a lot a while back with some milestones or some limited time events doing the front loading these events. So I'm pretty much in agreement with you, brother. Has the charge mechanic for Kestrel become bugged? Many times now, I've come across Kestrel in RTA with 2 summoners, i.e. Tech, Doc Ock and Ultron, and she prevents both summons. Her passive says she loses charge after preventing just 1 summon, and that's how it was working upon release. Actually, it's a little different. It works similar to how you're describing, but it's a little confused how it's written in the game, because the way it works is she starts with charge. If she prevents a summon on her turn, she's going to lose the charge, but she could prevent more than 1 summon during her turn. She could prevent 8 summons, 10 summons, especially if you keep removing turn meter from her. She's going to have a very long turn, remove a lot of summons. If she never removes, and if she never gets rid of a summon or a clone, she's never going to lose that charge, and she's going to have her for the whole match. So if we go in game and see how it's worded, so let me actually read this out of order, because if you read this in order, it may seem a little confusing. So on spawn, she's going to have charge and offense up for 2 turns. Now, if we go all the way to the bottom and read what it says on the bottom, it says, while this character has charge, enemies cannot summon or clone. So anytime that she has charge, this cannot happen. Now, if you read this next part out of order, this is how she loses charge. If on turn, if anytime during her turn, when she was charged, any enemy has attempted to summon or clone, then she's going to clear charge. So it's working as intended. I know the description is a little weird. They should have written this maybe this part in the beginning and not at the end, and maybe this part after that to make it a little more clear, but it is working as intended. I like the crap on Scopely, but in this instance, it is working as intended. Yeah, maybe we could get on with them a little for making this not as clear in the passive description, but this is how it's worked, brothers. So yes, thank you for pointing it out, but it's working as intended. All right, Valley, hope you and the family are doing well. My question is an old school one, since I'm under a year of playtime. I plan to skip Fury as a legendary, but Boundless wants me to get him with a Kestrel connection, making Coulson so easy to farm now, so I'll let them twist my arm. My question is, what is the best Kree setup to unlock him with minimal resources? I know old school players like yourself are familiar with Kree as a team, and frankly, us 3-year players are drowning in new teams with no catch-up mechanics, so thanks, brother man. All right, so actually, this is an interesting question, because Kree, in my opinion, was never valuable. I never really built him up, so I'm not super familiar with Kree, but as far as what are the best characters to unlock Fury, you don't really have a choice. It's the 5 Kree minions. Even back in the day, we couldn't use Korath, we couldn't use Ronin, we couldn't use Minerva as she became available. It was only the minions, and my my answer for you is put as little resources into these minions as possible. They're not very valuable at the end game level unless something has changed and they're allowing non-minions back in the day. And as far as I've been aware, it's only minions that you could use. So I think some of the better ones are maybe Cyborg. Noble is pretty good, but Oracle is pretty trash. Reaper is kind of trash. I can't even remember the other ones, but Noble, Cyborg is pretty good. And Noble is pretty good. That's who and Royal Guard, not a very good protector either. So yeah, as a whole, not very good. Cyborg has a little bit of synergy with Ultimus. So if you plan on using Ultimus later, then do that. But yeah, build them as minimal as possible. I use Fury in a war offense team nowadays, but other than that, I don't really use him too much. So I wouldn't go too crazy with Fury. But if he's there, you already have the minions done, then put as minimal resources into them as far as building them, just so you could get that unlock and then never come back to those minions ever again. Valley, how would you feel about a drag and drop feature when editing your teams? Oh my goodness, that would be so like 2020-ish or 2010s-ish. We're living in like the 2000s with this click to redo our roster. Yeah, I would love it if redoing our save squads so much faster, so much easier, and so much more like present day technology, not this click dragging. Who would have thought? But I guess with a very fragile framework, you gotta do these old school things like this. Yeah, it would be a lot faster. Hopefully they figure something like this out. Hopefully they revamp the framework. Hopefully they could update at least parts of it that allow some new features like this to be implemented in the game. Valley, which character on Heroes for Hire needs the red stars at the most? Who do you use as the fifth? All right, so as far as the fifth, I use Jessica Jones because she's not on any other team and it's not breaking up any other team. Obviously, the Kestrel version on war defense is probably one of the strongest. The Doom version is decent as well. There's a lot of other versions, but personally, I use the Jessica Jones because I don't want to break up a lot of teams. All right, so who needs the most red stars the most? So, and I'm assuming this is in preparation for the Gamma Rays and not just to make the strongest War D team. I know the kill order usually is to either take out the what is her name? The Misty Knight or Colleen Wing first. Both of them are newer tunes, so I think they're a little better. I think you could also make the argument that a lot of red stars on Iron Fist is very important because he's healer. And if you wanted to go with that, I guess the guy that does the taunt, the protector, also you could make the argument for red stars. But I think if you had a choice on which is the character to have the most red stars, I think I'm going to go with Misty Knight because I think she has the best use for the raids. And now that you're able to use the Heroes for Hire in these upcoming Gamma raids, I think with her stuns, with her ability blocks, that's the one that you want to go for. So I'm going to say Misty Knight is going to be the most important, although that may change based on Gamma raids or if you're really focused on more of a war defense team. All right, last question is, what would you see as Dr. Doom's T4 priority order? Do you think Dr. Doom would do okay on a war defense team with the Fantastic Four? I actually think that's one of his better teams. I think a lot of people, the more common is the Brotherhood Doom or the Uncanny X-Men in Doom, but the Fantastic Four with Doom, I still see that once in a while, and that's not the easiest matchup. It's not the toughest matchup, but it's not the easiest matchup either. So yeah, you could use him on war defense with the Fantastic Four. Frankly, I think Doom is a better defense character than an offense character. She-Hulk, and who would you kick for Doom? Kick things. So the war defense team that I think is decent for Dr. Doom, not as good as Uncanny and not as good as Brotherhood, but it would be Invisible Woman, Mr. Fantastic, She-Hulk, and then Human Torch with Doom. And I think that's the best version for war defense. But let's take a look at his skills. Let's go in game and take a look at his skills. Now, I gotta be honest, he's not a light T4 character. I actually like all of his T4s. But if we had to go in order, I don't know. I think the passive and the ultimate are very, very close as far as the values. You got more speed bar here. That anytime he drops below 50% health, which is going to be important to get his big AoE attack going off. Summon Doombots get their passive, getting more health, and that Summon Doombot's passive, well, it does a few different things. On death, you're going to give deflects to another Dr. Doom. And when there's more Doombot allies on the field, Doom is going to get either defense up, speed up, offense up, or all depending on how many Doombots. So that's a pretty good passive as well. That's why I like Dr. Doom's passive, because the Doombots are passive. The ultimate is also very, very good as well. Clearing 2 charges or gaining 2 charges is important, but filling the speed bar by 100%. If you drop him below 50% and he does not get that speed bar, he is not that ticking time bomb. So Doom is not a big threat without both the passive and the ultimate there. This is just going to make him more effective, but I think to make him just the bare minimum, you need both the passive and the ultimate. This is going to give that damage to that AoE. 100% damage to everybody and 50% more per Doombot ally. This could be a huge difference in damage. So this is also a big one. And let's not forget a basic. I said you need all of these. This is probably the last one that you want to do, but you want to do this one anyway. 80% extra damage to the primary target is nice. But when you're getting charged, when you're getting that big time bomb going off, if charged, flipping 2 positive effects to negative effects. So that one is a little more situational, is not always applicable. There's not always effects to flip, but when there are, and that is very important. So ultimate passive, I say there's 1A, 1B. You could decide which one you want to do first, but do both of them. This is going to seriously impact the AoE. And if you had to call one option, it'll probably be this basic, but I think that's one that you should do anyway. So hope that helps. Do all of them, but that's the order that I recommend for Doom. And a lot of questions in this question, brother. So hopefully that answered all of them. Right. Hey, Valley, wouldn't it be a great idea if after we finish Dark Dimension, if any one or all the nodes are unlocked, you can just enter any node you want and test the characters. As a content creator, I gotta say, I would love that. Testing different nodes in Doom, not having to go through all of the sections if I want to test one city node. That would be great. I would love that as well. There's no rewards after the second attempt. So I know there's a portrait. Yeah, you get that little border around your avatar and it looks kind of cool because not everybody is willing to go through the pain of going through Dark Dimension all those times. So not a lot of people have that. So it's kind of cool, but yeah, I don't know if it's worth if the juice is worth the squeeze. Some people want that portrait. You don't get a lot out of it. Just enter any node. I would love that. If there was an option to say, hey, you could attempt any node or you could do your attempt for that border. That would be a cool thing. Makes so much sense to me. So it will not happen. You're probably right. All the things that make so much sense, they either take a long time to happen or they won't happen. And Scopely has shown that they're very slow with reacting to stuff. I mean, it is almost August and we still don't have a second half of 2021 blog post. So you're probably right. It makes a lot of sense. It's very player friendly. It would save the devs cost of developing new content because you could go back and try this other stuff here and there. But yeah, it makes so much sense, not just for the players, but for the devs as well. So yeah, you're right. It's probably not going to happen. Valley, I've been playing since November. Been struggling in Dark Dimension 3. Jeez, that's pretty good. Since November, that's not a lot of time, and you're in Dark Dimension 3 already. That's a pretty good pace you're moving at. All right. Completed Dark Dimension 1 and 2 twice each, but on Node 3 and Dark Dimension 3. All right. If I'm remembering correctly, I think that's a Miss Marvel horrible node. So if that is, you got two options. If it's gotten to the point where you can't beat it with your characters, I think what they allowed at certain points, I don't know if this is a continuing thing that they're always allowing, but at certain points in the game, they've allowed you to write into customer service, have them reset that node. So you can start out with nothing. If it is at that point where you can't get past those Miss Marvels, go after them first. You can kind of control some of them, so it's not a lot of them popping up. I think you still are going to have double, maybe triple, even if you do it all correctly, but you could prevent it from getting too bad. Now, if it's not past that point, go after the Miss Marvels first. Those are the characters that are really giving all those assists, those double taps, the one shots, and all those stuff. It's because of Miss Marvel. So start working on them. Might take you a few days to eliminate a few, but yeah, if you get those Miss Marvels down, that node's going to be a lot easier. Less assist, it's assist. It's really the assists that make it hard. And if you're getting multiple characters getting multiple assists, that's why those characters are getting one-shotted. So take out the Miss Marvels. And if it's past that point, there's just so many Miss Marvels and it's not even fun. Right into the customer servers, hopefully they can help you and reset that node. But all right, on to the question. All right, I guess that wasn't the question, but this is the question. What advice would you offer someone aiming for DD3 and eventually 4? Probably too late to help me, but it might help someone else. All right, so don't let it get to that point with the Miss Marvels. There's going to be a node, I believe it's node 7, that you could have on Dark Dimension 3. You could have a bunch of Iron Fists. I think you can prevent that from happening, so don't let that stack up. Node 8 is pretty rough. And then the rest of it should be fine if you have the good tunes. But focus on, my best advice for someone going into Dark Dimension 3, focus on characters that'll also help you in Dark Dimension 4 and after Dark Dimension 4. So if you're looking at some of the content creators' videos and these characters are still being used in the raids or arena, you could confidently pretty much build them up for the Dark Dimensions. But if you're just going to use them for Dark Dimension and not use them afterwards, look at your resources. That might not be the best use of the resources. So that would be my best advice for someone going to Dark Dimension 2, 3, or 4. Plan ahead. Know what you want to do after the Dark Dimensions are done. And if you're okay with building up characters, even if you're not going to use them as much, then that is up to you. But know well in hand what you plan to do after Dark Dimension. Valley, currently on Nexus 8-7, should I do Shield or Axemen? Now, this is interesting because the X-Men have fallen off, or X-Men have fallen off. So has Shield. The Shield still has some value, certain characters, but let's go into the actual node itself. Take a look at some of the characters that I have available so I can make some recommendations for you. Boom. So you got Shield, Brotherhood, and X-Men available on that node. And if I had to recommend a team, it would be the Axemen. I kind of spoiled it when reading the question, but yeah, Axemen is the way to go for this node because not only will they help you with this node and the rest of these nodes in Nexus, but they're going to be a valuable team for you in the Doom raids once you get there, or Ultimus once you're there as well. If you don't have access to Jubilee, maybe not have access to Bishop, you could do some other characters. X23 has some value. Phoenix still has a little bit of value, but especially for a raid node, if you don't have Beast, you might not be able to 3-star that node if she dies. If you do have Beast, that makes it a little better, maybe bringing in Phoenix. I still use Black Widow nowadays, so that's another character that you might want to build up. Nick Fury, I use as War Offense. So again, not as much value as they used to have, but you could still probably build them up if you plan to use them on War Offense. Yo-Yo is going to have a little bit of value, but I don't really use her anytime nowadays. So if you plan to use her in the short term, that might be a character you could build up and then use her just for these nodes and then go move on to other characters. After that, I mean, Captain America is going to have a little bit of value there. The Brotherhood 2.0 is still going to have a little bit of value for the War on War Offense. I don't know how good they're going to do in this particular node, but you got a few characters. But if you had options to all of them, I'd say Axemen is the way to go. And then just look at what characters are going to have some value for you later on. Black Widow is going to have a little bit of value. Phoenix and Colossus are still an okay duo. Not as much as they were last year, but still okay. So those are who I would recommend. So hopefully that helps. The answer is actually neither Shield or X-Men, unless you got Jubilee and Bishop. Then I would go Axemen and fully build those characters for that node and use them on the raids or whatever content you have after that. All right. Hey, Valley, greetings from Singapore. Greetings from Texas, brother. Recently, Scopely introduced Milestone 2 orb. However, I noticed that this new orb drops the old ability orb fragments. Actually, it used to. I think they fixed this, but I don't think they fixed it correctly. I recall Scopely saying they're going to remove the old ability orb, ask us to open the orbs it saves up. Do you think Scopely intentionally tricked us to opening these orbs and had no intention of removing the orb at all? All right, so anytime the question is, do you think Scopely's trying to fix us, or if it's just, or if the answer is simply explained by them being lazy or not doing their job properly or missing things, I think the answer is more likely they're being lazy or they miss stuff. Usually, I don't think they have some higher level, next level type plan that's covertly trying to get players to spend more and open the orbs. I think they just forget a lot of stuff. I think they don't pay attention to all the details in the game and things slip through the cracks. But as far as the orb, let's go into the game right now and take a look at it, because they did correct it, but they didn't correct it correctly. So the left pillar, previously, when you went into this one right here, they would have the old ability orb. They wouldn't have this, but now they have a green, the T1s. They have another green, which should be T2, the blue one, and now they have the T3. So they corrected it sort of. It's still not how it's supposed to be, but they don't have the old ability orb in there at least. They just have the wrong orb, and this one was working correctly. This is how it should be on that last one, as far as the percentages. And then this, they have that. So yeah, it's sort of corrected, not really. I don't even know if Scopely knows that they made a mistake in the correction. That's how much I think they make mistakes. So yeah, if it's a malicious or laziness and incompetence and stupidity, I would go with the latter. Anytime it's a question over that. Hold on. Yeah, okay. So we're on this question here. I'm losing my place a little. Valley, shout out from the UK. Shout out from the TX, brother. What is the best healer in tech lanes of Doom so far? I have Doc Ock, Doom, Ghost, Kestrel, and Nebula, who I intend to replace with either Shuri or Minerva. Both have good points, but Min's cooldown is pretty long without a battery. Your opinions would be great. All right, so I agree. They both have their positive and negatives. Shuri gives out ability energy. She has defense up, and she has a heal that comes way more often than Minerva's heal. However, Minerva has that resurrection that she could do. That has a very long cooldown, and she has a heal, very, very long cooldown, like you mentioned. And frankly, I don't end up using that ultimate very often. I don't end up using that special very often. It's mainly I bring Minerva because her passive, and I didn't use her in Doom 1.0, so I'm not using her in 1.1 either. I don't have Shuri built up for that. So this is all applying for Doom 1.0. I'm not in 1.1. Our alliance hasn't 100% in 1.0. So this may all change in 1.1. So take that with a grain of salt. But in First Strike, I attempted this in First Strike because I still don't have the ISO on Shuri. I felt that Shuri's heals were coming a little too slow. Yes, the defense up helped. Yes, the ability energy helped. But when I needed that heal on those characters, just the cooldowns wasn't there for her ultimate, for that big heal. And with Minerva, neither was hers. But I found with Minerva's passive, I was getting healed way more often. So I found that Minerva was the better character. I know there's a lot of people that like Shuri better. And maybe it's because of the build, maybe it's the other characters, maybe it's the stars on these other characters, but I found Minerva more valuable for me. I know there's other players that think Shuri is a little more valuable, so I don't know if there's a cookie cutter answer that applies for everybody, but I like Minerva not because of her ultimate or her special, it's because of her passive. I found that healed a little better than Shuri did, but so that's my opinion. That's what I think. I think both are great options. I'm actually one of my next support character that I'm building up is actually Shuri to attempt this out. So give me a couple weeks. I'll have a definitive answer for you there, but it'll probably still be based on Doom 1.0 and not 1.1. All right, hey Valley, hope you're doing fine, brother. I hope you're doing fine as well, my brother. I'm preparing for a team for DD3. I have a question. Should I build Phoenix? I know she's a perfect candidate for Dark Dimension. However, in most of MS videos, I hear she's losing value as a character. So in terms of usage outside of DD, is she still worth investing in, or should I go for a character from a new team like Secret Avengers? I don't know if I would go so far as Secret Avengers. I still don't know how useful Secret Avengers are, and you got to remember, especially with the content like Dark Dimension, you want as many gold stars, red stars on these teams. And right now, as of us recording this, there's not really a way to get gold stars for any of the Secret Avengers. So should you invest in Phoenix? At this point, I don't know how valuable she is. Right now, the only use I'm getting for Phoenix is on War Defense with Doom. And like I said previously, I think the Brotherhood is the better version of the War Defense character. So I don't even know if you need Phoenix right now. Yes, she will make Dark Dimension 3 a lot easier. But like I said in the previous question about Dark Dimension 2, with characters like Ghost and Maw and Emma and these other characters that are very, very good in that game mode, I don't even know if you need Phoenix. Yes, you may need her in the legendary section of Dark Dimension 4. That is where I don't know if there's a lot of other great characters other than that legendary nodes in DD4, but outside of that, I think you could skip her. I think you could use some other characters. Some other characters that work great in DD4. Like I said, Ghost works very good. She does have that percent base damage. Minerva also has that percent base damage. Probably not as versatile of a character as Ghost is for Dark Dimension, but her ultimate is gonna give you one of the best heals and one of the best damage moves in the game. You also got percentage based damage from Maw as well, and then against some of the newer characters like Kestrel, Silver Surfer, Symbiotes. So you don't need Phoenix. If you plan to use her, you have a good use for her after Dark Dimension, then yes, build her up. If you really just enjoy the character, then that should have a lot of value as well. Who cares about the meta? If you really enjoy Phoenix, just build her up just for that, even despite her value in the game. I'm building up Yelena. She's okay in the game. She's not worth gear 15 and level 80 and ISO blue level 3, but I'm doing that anyway, just because it's a game. It's supposed to be fun, but yeah. So outside of that, probably not. Unless you have some kind of plan for Phoenix. All right, Valley, hope all is well. I have a long and short question. First, the opinion that legendary characters should feel like they're a legendary. I don't feel Phoenix should be completely countered by Kestrel as a non-legendary and an MSF original. So here's a thought in the comics. Jean Grey completely bonds with Phoenix Force and has his full powers known as a White Phoenix. So would you say having Phoenix spawn with her white costume against Kestrel, I'm not even asking to change her to dark mode kit yet, that'll just summon herself. All right, so here's what happens. I do agree that legendary should feel legendary. And I think for the most part, maybe Iron Man is an exception, but when these legendaries were released, they did feel legendary. They all added some value. Now, some characters added a lot of value, like Phoenix at the time. Some characters, not a lot of value, like Shuri at the time. But they all added different levels of value when they were released. Now, a lot of them have fallen off, which is why we're getting our permanent legendary characters, which is why characters like Phoenix, that used to be the top of the game, are not as good anymore with more characters. Now, as far as the original character, I understand why they wanted Kestrel to counter a lot of different characters, because it's original character. No one had any emotional attachment to this character, but they spent time building this character, so they had to market this character and sell this character, so it does make sense. I know from a thematic standpoint, from a canonical standpoint, it doesn't feel good when that happens, but I know why they did it. So yeah. So I'm not gonna harp on them too much, just because it's not canon. There's a lot of stuff that don't really align with the canon of the comics or the MCU in this game. So is it bad that some brand new character could counter Phoenix? Kind of feels bad, but kind of with the game, I understand what happened there. All right, second, if Scopel next ever introduced the Warrior 3, would you, Remedex and Mobile, volunteer for the character models? Of course I would. Of course I would. And all right, so we got Hogan, Fandral, Volstagg. I think if I have to choose one, I would be Hogan, the Grim. Not just because it's the name Hogan, and Hogan's like the Smash, but he's grim. He looks like he's a good warrior. Now, we also have a more flamboyant member of the Warriors 3, Fandral the Dashing. Well, the more flamboyant, in my mind, that's OMG. So he would be the more flamboyant, the dashing one of the group. You give him a little like a handlebar mustache, he'd be good. And then the big damage dealer, the big Volstagg, has to be Remedex. So yeah, I would do it. I think Remedex and Mobile would as well. And that's who the casting would be. Let me know if you disagree with that casting. Who would you want us cast as if we were to play the Warrior 3 guys? But that is it right now. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for submitting questions in the Monday mailbag. And let me remind you guys, if you're not already a member of the Discord, join the Discord. The link is down below. There's some other links to some sponsors that support this channel as well. If you want to support the channel, there's links for some emulators that I use. LD Player for Marvel Future Revolution, BlueStacks for Marvel Strike Force. There's a bunch of other stuff down there, some CBD, and getting ways to get some money off with Amazon coins, guys. Lots of cool stuff. Check all those out. Thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. I really appreciate everybody that left the question, and I will see you guys next time. More Strike Force, more Future Revolution, and of course, more Valley Club in the morning, tomorrow morning on Twitch. Before you go today, give me that Hulk fist bump, guys. Have a great rest of your day. ValleyFlyin out.